Hey y'all, what's going on? Welcome to the corner. I am your host, Kamal Huggins. Today marks our first episode of the corner. Welcome, welcome. Now, why the corner? Why did I decide to start the corner? I decided to start the corner because I used to be a youth leader, and there were conversations that we had in our youth group or didn't have that I realized that there's a lot of people who are out here that need to be a part of these conversations or need to hear these conversations and learn from these conversations, because these conversations really spoke a lot and they really helped me as a person and helped the youth and young adults that I used to work with or had the privilege of being a part of the youth group with. And I decided to take the conversation from the youth group setting and bring it here, bring it to a podcast, the purpose and the goal of this podcast is to help you win in every area of your life. And I'm talking about self-development, improving yourself and winning in relationships, in hopes that it will help you become the best version of who it is that God created you to be. Now, I'm a strong believer in stories. I love stories, right? I love watching movies and TV shows. I love sitting down and hearing other people's stories and, just their life stories and how they overcame certain issues in their life and how their story has the ability to unlock someone else's greatness. And I believe that everybody has a story to tell. And I believe that everyone's story is powerful. And I believe that everyone's story has the ability to inspire someone to become the best version of who it is that God created them to be. And that's why I decided to start this podcast, is to share some of those stories, share some of those conversations that were being had within the youth group that I used to be a leader in. And when I say youth group, I'm talking ages from high school to 35. So it was youth and young adults. That's the group that I had the privilege of being a leader for. I am currently no longer a youth leader, but I still have a passion for seeing people win, right? I still have a passion for sitting down and hearing people's stories and just finding lessons or learning lessons that can help unlock someone's true potential and lead someone to becoming the best version of who it is that God created them to be. So that's why I decided to start the corner. I will get into it and let you guys know who I am. So like I said, I am Kamal Huggins. I am 26 years old. I am originally from a very small island called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. For those of you who are not geographically sound, that is near other islands such as St. Lucia, Grenada, Barbados, Martinique, Dominica. We are a part of that region of Caribbean islands. I've pretty much grew up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I still reside in Toronto. It's pretty much the place that raised me. It's pretty much where I learned a lot, where I grew. And it's the place where I've learned who I truly am. And I've learned to embrace my culture and just who I am as a person. Like I said, I used to be a youth leader. What led me to being a youth leader is just my passion and my ability, my passion of seeing people win, right? Seeing people win in every area of their life, every level of their life. And I love it. I love it. A lot of people have always told me like, hey, bro, like you should consider being a counselor, or you should consider being a therapist, or you should consider being a coach. And, I don't think that's what I was called to do. I think what I was called to do was I was called to help people see things that they couldn't necessarily see, but not in the setting of a therapist or a counselor, but rather more so in a teaching capacity, or in a capacity where I could sit down and have a one-on-one with someone and help them see things that way and evolve that way. And that's why I decided to step away from the youth group setting within a church and bring the conversation to this platform. Now, I want you guys to understand, like, yes, I am a Christian. I do believe in God. I do believe in Jesus Christ. But this is not a Christian podcast. This is a podcast that is going to talk about self-help, give you advice on how to better yourself, and also talk about relationships, right? How to win in every relationship in your life. And I'm talking relationships with your family, relationships with your friends, relationships with coworkers, relationships with parent-child, right? Relationships with your spouse or an intimate person, right? So that's what this whole podcast is about, is just helping people win in relationships and win with the relationship with themselves, and helping you become the best version of who it is that God created you to be. Because honestly, I believe that once you begin to walk in your purpose, walk in your truth, walk in your self-confidence, and you find out who you are at your core, and then you begin to apply the love that you have for yourself to all the other relationships that you have, that life, you will begin to unlock the mysteries of life, or unlock the beauty of life. And that's something that I am very passionate about. And I just wanted to bring the conversation here because I realized that everybody should have a place where they can go and have conversations, and tough conversations, and conversations that will challenge them, conversations that will help unlock things within them that would help elevate them in every area in their life. And that's why I started The Corner, and that's what the podcast is all about. That's what The Corner is all about, right? Now, with that being said, I know some of you may be wondering, okay, why am I no longer a youth leader? Right now, I decided to start this podcast, and I told God, I said, God, if I'm going to start this podcast, I want to be as transparent and open as possible. So I'm going to start off this podcast by just being open and honest and letting you guys know why I am no longer a youth leader, and why I am now operating in a different sense, or on a different platform, or decided to go a completely different direction from what it is that I was used to. So without further ado, man, let's get into it. So the reason why I am no longer a youth leader, one, the pandemic has to do with it, COVID, but I stopped being a youth leader maybe 6 months just before COVID happened. So this is 2019, probably around June, end of June. I was in a 5-year relationship and our relationship came to an end, right? So our relationship ended not because of things that was happening within our relationship, or because the love wasn't there. It ended because of outside factors. It ended because her family didn't want her to be with someone who looked like me. And, like, to each their own, right? So our relationship ended, and I had a 6-month period where I needed to heal, because I was broken. That was 5 years. That was a 5-year relationship. This was the lady I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Turns out that wasn't it. So it took me about 6 months to heal from that, to learn the lessons that I needed to learn, and then get back on my feet, get my confidence back, learn to love me, right? And just transition in a totally different space. And it took a lot. So while I was going through all of that, I decided to step away as a youth leader. I decided to take the time to work on me, to learn me, and to seek God and find out where it is that God wanted me to go in that season. And thank God for the man and woman that he placed in my life. I had my young adult pastors, and they were amazing. They helped me through my season of brokenness, through my season of singleness. I am no longer single. I am now in a relationship, and that relationship has been going on for 2+ years now. And honestly, like, the things that I learned during my single season and during my season of hurt have really helped me evolve as a person, and helped me with winning in this relationship. So that was part of the reason why I stepped away from being a youth leader. And also the pandemic, right? The pandemic happened. Church was now online. Our youth groups were online. And I decided to continue tuning into our youth group sessions, but not in a leader capacity. And honestly, I think it was the best decision that I did, that I made, because as I was in my state of learning me and asking God, okay, what's next? God was really dealing with me, and I realized that while I was a youth leader, I realized that I was chasing after the platform and after the title of being a pastor or speaking on large stages. And God really dealt with me, and he's like, bro, who told you that I called you to that? Right? He's like, this isn't even what you're really passionate about. He's like, man, you want to write, you want to produce, you want to do things in the media space. And he's like, you also want to travel the world. And he's like, the things that you're chasing don't align with the things that I've called you to do or the things that you're passionate about. And when he dealt with me with that, I was like, yo, like that is so true. And I didn't realize how toxic it was, or how toxic the youth group was, or how toxic my end goal was and what it is that I was trying to achieve. So because of that, I decided to step away completely and just allow God to direct me and guide me. And this is where I'm at now, right? I vividly remember hearing God say, I need you to take the conversation to a bigger group. I need you to take the conversations that you had or weren't allowed to have because of the setting to a larger group and have those conversations, because your voice is needed in this generation, because there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of the information is detrimental, especially when it comes to relationships, and when it comes to love. There's a lot to be said, and a lot of people are getting information from a lot of people who've been hurt, and a lot of people haven't truly been healed from the things that they need to be healed from. And that's why it's like I'm a big fan of mental health and seeking therapy. I haven't personally been to therapy. I've never had a therapist. I don't think I will ever have a therapist. But what I've had I've had pastors in my life who have counseled me, right? Pastors who have mentored me, pastors who I can call at any time or text at any time and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. I need your help. And I could just be open and honest and just authentic with them. And I knew that they weren't going to use anything against me, and that they were going to remain objective, and that they're just going to have an open mind and just attack the issue rather than attacking me. And I believe that everybody should have someone like that in their life. If you don't have anyone like that, or you can't find anyone like that, then I suggest you go and do therapy, right? If that's what you need. If that's not what you need and you can find someone who you can confide in, I truly do encourage you to find someone who you can confide in and have conversations like that with. If that's a significant other, make it a significant other. If it's a sibling, find a sibling. If it's a good friend, then find a friend, right? But I believe that everyone should have someone who they could go to and just let everything out and just talk through your issues and your problems. Right. So that's something that I highly encourage. And I love the fact that a lot of people, not just people, but men, especially, because I am a man, and I know like there's a lot of times in my life where I would bottle things up and I wouldn't talk about my issues and the things that I'm going through. So to see a lot of men now embracing that and taking the step to do that's a big thing. Right. And that's what I'm hoping to do right here on the corner, is have conversations around that, around mental health, around trauma, around love, around, evolving as a person, around taking the next step, and how to just be open and honest and be your true authentic self, and how to embrace that and how to walk in that. And like I said, I am duly excited, truly excited to get this podcast started and to share the things that I've learned throughout my life and throughout other people's stories, right? And just through everyday topics and conversations that are being had. And if you are excited to, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and tune in the conversation. And let's get it going. And if there's anything that you would like for me to address, please put it in the comments down below, and we would address it and we will talk about it. I look forward to going on this journey with you of, bettering ourselves and becoming the best version of who it is that God created us to be. I look forward to seeing y'all in future episodes. And don't forget, share, like, and subscribe. I am Kamal Huggins, and this is The Corner. Peace.